clarified certain questions that were provided. One of the issues is that we want to make sure that the intent of this is clear, that this is not an intent to penalize landlords, but to provide an opportunity and to increase the dialogue between the city of Wilkes Barre and the landlords within the city, and to regulate the drug activity and violence within the city. This is an ordinance that's going to allow us to have another tool to curb violence and curb drug activity within the city. Another issue arose that I had an opportunity to speak with somebody about, and I want to make sure this is clear, and this is that there was a concern based on the language of both the drug activity and the gun activity, that where an occupant or an owner has implied or actual knowledge of drug activity in any instance where the occupant is charged or convicted in a court of competent jurisdiction of selling or distributing narcotics or controlled substances, or in the other section with regard to firearms. The issue is that there was a concern that can people rent to individuals who have a prior conviction, and the intent is not to prohibit anybody who has a prior conviction from renting within the city. The idea is that if you are charged or convicted on the premises, there is an intent that the landlord would have imputed knowledge of that information, or if there's actions that occur on the premises. And that is the goal of this ordinance, to make sure that the landlord is aware of what is going on, as well as the other occupants. So I want to make sure it's clear that we're not trying to prohibit people who have had previous drug convictions or firearm convictions, who are rehabilitated or looking to move into our city, from being prevented from legally occupying a residential structure or from renting within the city, because that would not be legal under the Constitution.
Okay, and on that ordinance, we have a couple of people that wish to discuss this. Mr. Mazzosky, who's our first?
I was told that if you only ask questions, then you'll answer them later. But I have to talk fast. How many new tenants moved in to Sherman Hills the last 2 years? And what about the previous owner, relative to not collecting the money for the inspections, the fees? If Sherman Hills has an incident or two, will they shut down the whole place? Property values have plummeted in the city. It's incredible how many properties are for sale. The city's bankrupt, or will be. There's no doubt about that. I don't think we have enough people working to pay enough in the wage tax. So we're all going to have to find the money wherever. And, you know, the inspection fee went up, from what I understand. But I do believe we should get the money from Sherman Hills. They should pay it. They should do it of their own free will. But you should ask them for it. Can we get some kind of campaign to tell drug dealers that Wilkes Barre is not the place to come and set up business? That's pretty much it in a nutshell. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
As part of the answer to the question, this is all part of the answer. The city officials are going to meet with the housing authority to discuss full implementation of this and to make sure all parties are on the same page. Now, that doesn't answer your Sherman Hills question specifically, but it does tell you that we are trying to make sure that with all landlords, particularly those in larger housing complexes, that we are going to make every effort to make sure that everybody's on the same page and they know what the city's going to be doing in that
Wouldn't it be nice to get the money that they owe the city?
I understand.
My wife pays.
Right. We had a discussion last week on Sherman Hills. This is applicable to Sherman Hills as well as any other rental property. Will not be treated any differently. If there are issues there, they'll be handled the same way. As far as the monies in the past, that's another matter. We're dealing with a particular ordinance here tonight.
Okay, I understand.
Okay. Mr. Sorick?
Hi, I'm sorry. All right, thank you, Attorney Vinsco, for clarifying on the ordinance. Just a few more items that I do have, and let me just start off by saying I am 100% in favor of this ordinance. I think this is something that we've all looked forward to a long time coming. But the one part that I have just a problem with is any notice under section 7-239F, any notice required hereunder which is given to the agent, property manager, or occupant shall be deemed notice given to the owner. My big problem with that is if a tenant is doing anything wrong, what makes anybody here think they're gonna notify the landlord of anything? That needs to be changed immediately to where maybe some sort of notice, as soon as an infraction happens, notice is immediately sent out from the city to the landlord via email if they register with the city, anything. Just so that the landlord definitely is notified and then they can be subject to being shut down. But without first notifying the landlord and being 100% certain, not just that it implied that they should have known, could have known, and that's, we might as well look to our DA and say she should have known, could have known, would have known, whatever. I mean, that just doesn't sit well with me, that we are basing it on, well, we handed your tenant something. And that's like someone knocking at the door and handing my 15-year-old something and saying, well, Mr. Sorick, you didn't get the notice I left you? Did you give it to me? Because I didn't. You know, so that's basically it. But I just don't want to see this ordinance get shot down in any way. I know there are concerns out there that it may be used inaccurately or whatever. I don't care. I think we have to do something, absolutely have to do something to stop what's going on in the city, and we're all tired of it. And I applaud this council and the administration for taking this step. I just think that some sort of wording needs to be changed so that it's not an opportunity for someone to shoot down a piece of legislation that is so important. Thank you so much.
With regard to that, it's a very good point. The reason it's worded that way is that the occupant, in a lot of situations, has a duty. We're trying to keep the duty on the occupant as much as the landlord and the owner. But it behooves the city to make sure that the landlord or the owner has knowledge, because in order to fully prosecute this, it's our obligation to do that. So we're going to have to take steps to ensure that. The due process right is taken care of because there's an immediate right of appeal to the new housing board. And it'll be our responsibility as a city to confirm that the owner of the property does have knowledge. So while it is imputed knowledge, that gives us the ability to proceed with the imputed knowledge argument, but we still have to prove it.
Okay.
So there is a requirement that we have to take additional action. You know, we can't just, willy-nilly apply the Constitution on that, and that's why the way it's written, it gives if we just took the occupant out of there, we would be saying, well, if the occupant knows, then they get to get away with anything. No, there's a duty on the occupant here as well, so that gives the landlords the right to hold the occupant responsible as well. If you put it in your lease, for example, saying that they have to comply with all laws and codes, this actually covers it. So you are giving yourself an out in your own lease agreement. So that's the basis for it.
Is there anything we can do, and I know the way the ordinance is written, it looks like the landlords, of course, are the ones being penalized because they could be the ones shut down. Is there anywhere that we can cite the tenants? I mean, if they're the ones doing this, causing the problem, certainly something has to be done with them as well. The landlords could possibly lose 6 months rental income, but what can the tenants do? I mean, if they're in your home, you're shut down, what's to stop them from just jumping over to Mr. Barrett's house and doing the same thing in his house? And then they can jump over to Mr. Church, just keep doing it.
Right, well, we have to look at this in the context of all the other ordinances out there. As Mr. Barrett just said, they can be arrested, they can be cited, there's other issues. So this is not going to be applied in a vacuum. There's been a focus on the 6 months of drugs and firearms, but part of this, a lot of it is going to be code violations, other issues that oftentimes we see. So it has to be used cumulatively, and because of the fact that we have not been ever challenged, and actually very few municipalities have ever been challenged in the 3 strikes realm, we're confident that correct application of this will succeed.
Thank you.
You brought up a very good point about the landlord being aware of what's going on. We had some discussion about this, I don't know if you were here a week or so ago. There was a time, going back in time again, not looking back at Mr. McCormick, but The city did send out letters.
To talk about
We
it.
did send out letters to property owners where there was reasonable suspicion that there was some activity going on in rental properties, and gave them notice that we were receiving complaints, and that was kind of also would go for hand in hand with this ordinance very, very well. We're telling you, you've got an issue there, you've got a problem, we'll work with you on it, and it's up to you to do something about it. This is before somebody would be arrested, or we're starting to get complaints, and I think that's something that you might want to resurrect. I think it has a.
I think so as well. Thank you.
I think you would appreciate getting a letter saying,
Absolutely.
all these calls, and you may not be aware of them.
They find themselves in Rick's office real quick if I got the letter.
That would be good.
Thank
Great,
you.
Thank you.